And I am a pre-medical student here at the University of Arkansas, and I have a minor in Russian studies.
I'm getting a double degree in business management and French.
Right now I'm planning on teaching at the high school level, just teaching Spanish classes there.
I am a mathematics and French double major.
For undergraduate, I've studied French and International Relations.
Because you never know what life is going to take you, and you can't change where you've been. But today, I have the opportunity to choose.
I've always just been fascinated by their rich history, and their language is just so beautiful. It's different and it's its own language.
I watched some of the Japanese cartoon shows when I was younger, and I had heard a little about the culture, you know, just the typical stuff, samurai, etc.
I studied it in high school for 2 years and just really loved it a lot. I think my teacher had a great passion for it, just for that communicated itself to me.
Just the sound of it. I think it's the coolest sounding language. In Russian. I like them both a lot.
When I got up here and I learned that they offered a Japanese program, I got interested and just figured I'd give it a shot.
I'd always been interested in languages and culture. You know, when I was in elementary school, I'd buy little learn language CDs and that sort of thing.
I like it that it's a little bit different. I like it that it's unique. It's more challenging, I think, than some others.
And then I just heard German and I kind of liked the way it flowed better, and it just seemed more appealing to me.
I love the culture. I love being able to, especially in the Northwest Arkansas area, being able to converse with all the Hispanic people who are here, and then also in the schools, just being able to talk with students.
I like the culture of the language. I also simply like being able to experience things and learn things in a different language.
I think it's beautiful to say. It just feels pretty. And I also just love the intricacies of the language. It's just always been something that's fascinated me.
Oh, it's beautiful. The language of love.
I think it's fun because you kind of get to meet new people and different people, and like if you study abroad or you just travel, you can communicate, get your point across better.
I like it because it's a complete contrast with my math courses, so it's just enjoyable.
To have a conversation with someone in their native language is a very different experience than having, you know, them using their, even if they've got great English, you just kind of, they're more comfortable and it's a different interaction, which is really interesting.
If you've ever been at a restaurant or something and you hear something you don't know what language it is, but you've been studying Russian, even if it's another Slavic language, it's fun to kind of listen in and be able to hear what those other people are saying, and they just think you're American and don't understand.
Just being able to pick up on things that other people can't. That's always fun.
It's nice to be able to speak another foreign language with someone else who speaks French, of course. It's fun to be able to talk about people while they're around and them not going on. It's a fun thing.
When I was there this summer, I made some friends with some French girls, and so they want me to come visit them in France. So like you make contacts and some pretty neat places, and that's what I like about it.
So I've been able to listen to and understand, you know, and a lot more music and film and different things you can just appreciate more when you have just even a little bit of background in the language.
We're driving around, my friends will, what's that say, what does that say? And something that I can share with them that they don't have a clue about. And
Just being able to go over there and, you know, talk to these people and read and you know, order my own food and, you know, kind of fit in more or less and not feel so alienated. That was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot.
It's a lot of fun to learn another language. It's just plain fun.
I've studied abroad, and that you meet so many people that way that you weren't expecting to meet, and they're all so cool and so different because they're all wanting to do different things with their language skills.
Actually, learning a different language helps you spell and set your sentence structure up a lot better.
I mean, it's just taught me a different way of thinking. You know,
Okay.
get outside of math and think more creatively.
You're learning English grammar all over again.
You know, you're reading a book and you see a French reference, or you're watching a movie and there's a French reference or anything, you know, food, cuisine, and you see these references, and it's something that now I pick up on.
Like when someone doesn't speak English as well, you kind of understand, you know, and you're more patient with people like that. That's, to me, it made me more patient with other people that don't speak it.
Foreign language is so important. It just, not only does it teach you how to communicate with another culture and another group of people, but it also teaches you so much in history and so much about your English language along the way.
If you know their language, if you're familiar with their culture and how they, you know, how they work and live and act on a day-to-day basis, I mean, you're going to go a lot farther and you're going to get a lot more respect.
I think it introduces you to just a lot of cultural differences in the process of learning the language, and it just gives you the basic idea. There's another perspective out there which you can kind of see through the language and the way things are approached in the language.
Anyone can go to France and be a tourist, but knowing the language before you go just makes the experience 100 times better.
Knowing how to speak another language almost sort of just taps into your brain power a little bit. It really makes you use your brain in ways that you didn't think you could.
But just to know it's kind of cool, you know, you can impress your friends with it or something.
With learning a foreign language, you get the culture, you get a different point of view, and I think that's really important, just to help you to be able to be sensitive to others and see things from a different way.
The world is bigger than America, and the world is bigger than just us, and there's a lot of other wonderful things out there, and if you know another language, that's a way to directly access that.
I just got back from Munich. I was there all summer, and I worked in Munich. I had a job working at a retirement home. For me, it was great to work there, to work in Germany, to work and live that culture and see how these other Germans live and work. A lot of students study abroad, which is wonderful because then you experience the culture, but for me, working in a job in Germany, really doing everything in Germany was quite an experience, and to be able to do that is fantastic.
I plan to go to med school and keep this minor in Russian, and I'd like to go into the Peace Corps after I get my doctor's license and help in some of the underdeveloped third world countries over there in East Europe.
You know, you may be sitting at a desk and thinking, when am I going to use French or German? But, you know, you may end up working for a company that's going to say, well, go work on this project in France or in Africa or in another country. They may be asking you to supervise something.
They have Westuba, which is a Germany-based company for tissue culture, which I really like, and they do a lot of breeding work there and stuff, and I like that.
Starting a translating business and outsourcing translators to like short-term trips where people need translators in other countries when they go.
I intend to apply my knowledge of Japanese business, language, and culture towards kind of my business-oriented degree.
Civil work, working for the State Department, taking the civil service exam, working for an embassy or something like that, just to help the international community.
I want to maybe be an international consultant for a company, like a bigger company, more like Boeing or Coca-Cola or something.
Also, as focusing on international relations, I focused on European studies. So, of course, French is a major language, and covering anything to do with the EU or even business transactions in Europe, if I'm covering something like that, it'll help to know some of the local language. And, of course, if international affairs, a lot of the things international affairs use the French language.
As we're moving toward a global economy, it makes sense not only to understand business practices of a foreign country, or but also the culture and the people and how the sociological and the language aspects, I guess, of a foreign country.
Somebody who goes over there who might not speak Spanish won't, I don't think, be able to develop the kind of relationship that I would be able to with them when you can actually talk to them in their native language, and then just getting around the country, it helps.
Just being a doctor is a great career in itself and such a rewarding career, but I'd also like it to be rewarding in a non-American sense. I'd love to get back to my country and my community, and that's something that the university has taught me, but it's also taught me that it's not just about America, that it's about the world and how the people are viewed in it.
I think anytime you're covering a story in a foreign country, knowing the native language makes it easier to get contacts, makes it easier just to even, if it takes some of the stress out of getting around while you're trying to work on a story.
Businesses are going global these days, so a language is almost something that's not only helpful, but necessary if you really want to be successful in a foreign market. So I think any language, especially one that you love to study, is going to help you out a lot.
There's just so much to do. I mean, you can work for advertising companies, you can work for an embassy. There's just so much where foreign languages come into play, especially with all the technology these days. The world has just become so much smaller, and we connect with so many different cultures all the time.
A bit of free advice.
Just studying. It's not all about memorizing, it's about having a good time with the language.
Once you get past the initial, semester or two, things are going to get a lot easier.
Keep it up while you're doing the very kind of mundane routine work, because at first you do just have to build that vocabulary base, and so it may be kind of boring to sit there with a list of 10 words every day.
You meet that person that speaks that language or is from that background, talk to them about it, and I promise, I've done it so many times, they really, really aren't going to make fun of you or anything like that. They enjoy it just as much as you do learning about it. They enjoy talking about it.
In the beginning, it's going to be a lot harder, but if you stick with it and you just kind of, keep at it, eventually you'll turn around and you'll know it.
It makes it a lot easier if you do learn the genders when you first start, which is something that was very hard.
Because I think if they keep working at it, they're going to start growing, and then they're going to start loving the language more.
To kind of hang in there, and then it gets a lot more interesting and really exciting when you do get that vocabulary base built, and the first times when you can express what you're trying to say.
Talk to their advisors. See, are they interested in business? Are they interested more in politics? And I think you really need to figure out in what direction you want to go.
Experiment with lots of languages. There's so many offered at the university here that they can try out and see for themselves what they enjoy.
Studying abroad, that helps a lot. You just think it all the time, and because I went, I come back now and I can understand my teachers better, and I look at the homework and I don't translate it anymore, I just know what it says.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. At least try in class.
Go into it with an open mind and just be receptive to everything, because you'll learn a ton of stuff, that not even just how to speak it, stuff beyond that.
Everyone that applies to med school is biology pre-med, and so the guy that's biology French pre-med is looked at more closely, and because he's more expanded, and so they look for diversity like that.
All the colleges here at the university offer city abroad programs for their chosen majors, and combining that with a foreign language would just give them more opportunity for growth and for exploring their options.
Listening to the CDs that come with the book sometimes, listening to that really helps.
If you're just starting another language, don't give up. It's a hard thing starting off, but once you cross over that hump, you just think it's the coolest thing in the world and you don't want to stop.
I would strongly encourage people to find somebody who speaks the language that they can practice with.
Oh, my teacher doesn't speak any English, and it's the beginning class. She doesn't speak any English all the whole time, and you just have to. That's the best way to learn. So when you start picking up a language, just be patient.
It's really important to start thinking early on, how can I use my foreign language in my other fields of study, and how can I incorporate that? It's just really important to start thinking early and not thinking your senior year, I'm majoring in Spanish, but what am I going to do with it? And there are so many resources, talking to advisors, talking to the Career Center in the Union, talking to professors. They're all there with great suggestions and ideas, and they're ready to help you find your career and narrow down your choices and interests.